Good morning, everyone. Let us start with day 21, wherein we will discuss the cutover tasks. Cutover task means the activities that are to be performed before the system is handed over to the production or for regular operation. These cutover tasks are the prerequisites for doing the data migration along with the configuration. So, first is the configuration is completed. After that, we perform all the cutover activities, and after those cutover activities, the data migration for the general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and asset accounting that we discussed in our last session should be carried out. So let us discuss about those activities one by one. I have listed 11 activities here which should be completed before we start the data migration into SAP and handing over the system for regular operation. So the first activity is opening the period. In SAP, we have a concept to open the required period and close all other period. When I say opening the period means the postings or the general entries can be entered or posted only in the period which is open. And period means the accounting period, which means month in SAP. So for example, if July is open, user is permitted to post the journal entries only in the month of July and no other period. So this is what we have to do. So we have to open the period in which the migration will happen. So the T code to open the period in finance is OB52, and to open the period in material management is OMSY. The next thing is maintaining the exchange rates. As we already know that SAP has a capability of providing the reports simultaneously into multiple currencies apart from the transaction currency. Transaction currency is the one in which the journal entries are booked, and company code currency is a currency of the local country in which the company code is located. Group currency is the currency in which the whole group reports. For example, if we have a headquarter in US and subsidiary in India and Japan, so the local currency for the headquarter is USD, the local currency for the India is INR, and the local currency for the Japan is Japanese yen. So these local currency are nothing but the company code currencies, and they may deal with customer or supplier from multiple other countries, which would be called as transaction currency. And since India and Japan entities would be reporting to its headquarter in US and will be required to prepare the financial statements in USD, so USD here becomes the group currency. So there has to be an exchange rate setup between those different currencies, from transaction currency to company code currency, from company code currency to group currency, and so on. So this setup is maintained by the transaction code called OB08. We will see all those activities practically in the system as well. As of now, I am trying to make you understand the list of activities and high level understanding of those activities. Next is the cost center planning. Cost center is the responsibility area where the costs are accumulated. So before we start booking the actual cost in any cost center, we should do the planning, so that after the actual costs are booked in the cost center, those get compared with the planned values and the variances are calculated, so that we understand what variances exist and who is responsible for those variances and how can those variances be controlled, and whether those are favorable variance or unfavorable variance. So this planning for the cost center is done in KP06 T code. Similarly, we have activity type planning. Activities means the list of operations that are required to produce the finished goods. For example, packing, repair and maintenance, any other activities, quality inspection, cleaning. So these are different activities which needs planning before we start the actual production, so that the standard cost of the products that we produce are measured at this rate. As an example, we say the packing cost is 2 rupees per piece. That is what we plan in KP26 T code. So in KP26 T code, we plan the rate for activities which are used to value the items that are manufactured or produced. Next is creation of the cost center groups. We already understood that the cost center means the center or the area that is responsible for collecting costs. So there can be different responsible areas which could collect cost, and if we group those multiple cost center, that is called cost center group, which is created by the transaction code OKEON. Similarly, we have profit center groups, which not only stores the cost but also the incomes. Profit center stores both the cost and revenues, and it is also a area where the revenue or income is generated. The T code to group the list of profit centers together for analysis is created with the T code KCH5N. The next is the number range. We already know that when a journal entry is posted in SAP, those journal entries are given some number. Those numbers are set up in a BN1 T code. And if you want to copy from one year to another year, the number ranges for a particular company code, then we use the T code OBH2. Let us say an example. If I want to copy the number range from 2025 to 2026 for company code ABCD, I use OBH2 and transfer or copy all the number ranges from 25 to 26 for this particular company code or the list of all the company codes. Next is the material ledger activities activation. Material ledger activation has to be done after all the configuration related to material ledger is completed. This activity of material ledger activation assist in managing material valuation into multiple currencies and multiple valuations. When I say multiple currencies, the materials in SAP can be translated into three currencies simultaneously, and those three currencies should be in link with the financial currencies. We will talk about more detail on this in our upcoming session. As of now, you remember that before we post any material movements, material in or material out, we must do CKM start, which is also a part of cutover activity. And material ledger assist in valuating the material in multiple currencies and as per multiple valuation. Multiple valuation means legal valuation, profit center valuation, or group valuation. If you understand these three concepts about material ledger activation as of now, that is more than enough. The next is the standard cost estimation. The T code to perform standard cost estimation is CK40N, and with standard cost estimation, you are estimating the planned cost or the estimated cost for the materials that we produce in house. Those materials can be semi finished goods or finished goods. So before we post actual movements in SAP for those semi finished goods or finished goods, we estimate the standard cost for those items, so that during the actual production, when the actual costs are incurred, those can be compared with those standard costs and the variance can be identified and analyzed for control. The next activity is the tax code. The tax codes are maintained by FTXP tax type. Sorry, tax code. The tax codes are maintained by FTXP T code or the transaction code. As we already know, tax codes assist in calculating tax for expenses and income. The tax code specifies the percentage at which the tax should be calculated and assist in creating automatic lines when the journal entries regarding purchase and sales are booked. Tax condition rates, those are maintained with FV11 T code for purchases and VK11 T code for sales. Those are the conditions based on which the tax rates apply. Those conditions can be maintained at different level. For example, for particular material, when it is moved from this state to the another state, what should be the rate? So this is a example tax condition. Similarly, we can have multiple other tax conditions which needs to be maintained as part of our cutover activity. So these are 11 most important cutover activities which needs to be done, which we have discussed today. Let us list those as open period, opening the period, maintaining the exchange rate, cost center planning, activity planning, creating the cost center and profit center groups, copying or creating the number ranges, activating the material ledger, making the standard cost estimation, and maintaining the tax codes and tax conditions. So those are the list of 11 cutover activities which must be done after the configuration is completed in order to do the data migration, without which the system cannot be handed over for go live or for regular operation. I hope now you have a fair understanding of all those 11 activities, and if asked anywhere, you will be able to answer at least to the points that we have discussed today. With this, I am closing for the day. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you.